Hello and welcome to Fine is a Four-Letter Word. My guest today is Kristy Busija. Welcome to the show, Kristy.
Thanks for having me.
Did I get that right?
You did. Perfect.
Okay. I was telling Kristy that usually I don't remember to ask the guest how to pronounce their name if I'm not sure until after we're already recording. But this time I actually remembered. So yeah, let's jump right into it. What were the values and beliefs that you were raised with that contributed to you becoming who you are today?
Mm. Oh, yeah. My parents raised me with a lot of great work ethic, a lot of integrity, a lot of uh, make sure you're the do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. More flies with honey than vinegar. A lot of that in my growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did you take that and apply it or not apply it as you got
Oh,
older?
yeah. Well, it was learning that in some situations where it's so more flat honey than vinegar only works up to a certain point, especially in the work environment where sometimes you do have to actually be hold people accountable, not unkindly, but you do have to not sugarcoat it, right?
Mhm.
And have to be open and transparent and honest. And yeah, and work ethic absolutely has continued to serve me super well of do what you say what you do, and whatever you promise, make sure you deliver on it. Or if you can't, let people know why. Just be open.
Mhm. Yeah. How was that lesson of having to not sugarcoat things and tell it as it is? Like what was how did you learn that lesson?
Well, I guess I always was a little bit of a rule breaker on that one when it came. So I kind of learned it when I was in high school, because I would always question. So that's the rule, but is it really the rule? Really, that doesn't seem to make sense? Could it possibly be this or this or this? But for the more flies with honey than vinegar, it was, I noticed that some people, when you were not responding or were not understanding what I was trying to say because it was too soft.
Mm.
And so I needed to lean into my more directive style of let me just break it down for what it is, which has actually served me really well in business because that's what I'm known for, of make sense out of chaos. So
Mm.
I'll tease it out and boil it down and be like, here you go. What do you want to do?
Are you a puzzle person?
I am. I am.
I was
How
just
do you
wondering
know?
when you said that you're the person to make sense out of chaos,
Yeah.
like if that's a function of being able to look at a whole bunch of pieces
Yeah.
like in a
Yeah.
puzzle and put
Yeah.
them together.
Yeah. Funny that you say that. My mom and I did a puzzle over Christmas, and that was honestly her response. She's like, "You're better at this than I am." She's like, "How did you figure out that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. It looked like it went in there."
Yeah, I think it's just how some people's brains work. Like you
Yeah.
see the whole thing, you see the whole picture when
Yeah.
it's all divided up into little pieces.
Yeah.
Like I am
Absolutely.
not a puzzle person, so that is not how my brain works. I can admire that. I have other talents, but it's interesting, right? To
Yeah.
see how that plays out then not just in terms of puzzles,
Yeah.
but in life and in work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
What are some puzzles that you've had to put together and from a work standpoint? Like what chaos have you faced and had to make sense out of?
Well, a lot of it, so some of my clients right now, we're working with a large global nonprofit, and the Sense Out of Chaos is leadership development space. So they have global leaders. I think our cohort at last count has 19 countries represented in it. And so the puzzle we're putting together is how do we help teach um, communication skills when we have not just the person and how they're wired and their preferences, but that person that lives in that country and there are cultural norms and expectations and
Mm.
nuances. and how to help them through all of that stuff and navigate it so that they're respecting themselves, but also then respecting the culture that they live in or that they're interacting with so that they're not creating tension because of a cultural faux pas, right?
Wow, that's a
It,
lot of
it
like,
is a lot,
and
but
when
it's
you say
fun.
like when you say chaos, that doesn't necessarily mean everybody's hair is on fire
No,
and
no,
everything is blowing up, right? Like what you
no,
just
no.
described
Yeah,
is not that.
no, yeah, chaos. So it's chaos is however the client defines it. So it could just be it feels messy.
Mhm.
Um, they don't see that they're looking at the, the trees or the weeds and not looking at the forest. They are too close to it. Or they just have no idea what step to do next. A lot of my coaching clients, they've actually said, lovingly said, look, I just verbally vomit and then you help me sort it through. Exactly. It's just a lot of stuff and they don't know where to start. And that's what I bring to the table.
Mhm. Yeah. Um we since the show is called fine is a four-letter word, I want to get to that part
Yeah. Go for it.
of the time because you were in a situation where you were making sense of chaos, uh, but that is not exactly what your employer wanted you to do.
Yes. Absolutely. And it was the catalyst for some of my big change. Yeah, so about 3.5, 4 years ago now, I was actually making sense out of chaos for the company I was working at, and it was all around the space of how do we find the right talent, how do we then develop them when they're on board, and there's this assessment space. Assessments themselves can be risky because you can interpret the data in ways that should not be interpreted. But then you also have to be respectful from a global mind piece that GDPR, global data protection, the regulations are pretty strict in terms of what you can and can't share, what permission you need, what permission you can't. Just stop, do not pass go kind of thing. And I was being asked by some senior leaders to share information about employees that we had already told employees we're not going to share. We had it documented we wouldn't share. It was part of every communication. And the pushback was, well, the company paid for it. Let's just hand it over to the manager and HR. I'm like, well, we could if X, Y, Z, A, B, C, including some legal counsel in the US and abroad. And at the end of the day, that no was not adequate or fine for them. And they fired me for not living the values.
For not living the values,
I know.
but
I'd love to
but
know which one. Respect, integrity. I don't know.
but those were actually the values they were asking you to violate by
Correct.
providing them with uh, information illegally.
Yes. Yes.
So essentially, you were fired for not doing something illegal.
That is correct. Yeah, of
That
course they
is
will never.
that's not too
Well,
ridiculous.
of course they can't say that that was the reason, but up until that point, literally up till that moment in time, I was my boss's successor. I had fantastic reviews, above and beyond, all kinds of great stuff. So basically, it was BS what they were claiming,
Mhm.
and there was no documentation that they said existed. It just didn't exist. So that's the only thing is I told the wrong person no too many times.
Mm. And then after you left, do you know what happened?
I have no idea what happened. The only thing that I could do is to help protect employees as I was able to go and file an official ethics complaint so that it documented what I experienced. I did hear that they have not shared that information and they haven't gone forward. So at least my parting gift was to truly protect everybody I could protect on my way out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Is that something that has been a through line for you? Like protecting people, not just protecting their information, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing like as part of your life, being a protector.
Protector, yes. And, looking out for people, protecting them, I was even my brother's advocate. He's 2 years older, but I was the one that always spoke for him. Right. Or when I said I was a rule breaker in high school, I was advocating that, we all bombed a test, which meant our grades, look, we would have all gotten a lot lower grades and we were not happy. I was the one that went to the teacher and said, we all bombed it. Can you look at your grading curve and maybe adjust it for this quarter? And we got it adjusted. So I was always the one looking out, not just for me, but for other people.
Mm.
Yeah. And seeing what could be and how to responsibly, ethically, morally handle something.
Where do you think that that I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for, but like that drive came from?
Oh, I honestly think it's God-given drive and God-given the conscience that I have. Like I always want to do what's right, what's ethical, what's moral, what is the right thing for others. And
Hmm.
it's always been there since I was a child. Always been.
Okay. And then did that help drive the career that you chose, you think?
I think so, because I wanted to focus on psychology, which is helping people, but I also wanted to focus on the business side as well. So how do you leverage people within an organization and really bring out the best in them? Because it does get bottom line results. You get all the great stuff that companies want, but you also care for the humans in the company because you need
Hmm.
them. And when I found my career, I thought, wow, you can actually do this for a living and really love what you do.
Yeah. And then so you loved it up until the point where you were let go for not doing something illegal.
I still love it to this day.
Yeah.
Like that didn't detract. That actually was showing me that there's other paths in order to be able to do this and do it even more intentionally, right? So basically at the end of the day, I got off of somebody else's hamster wheel and I started running my own race and looking at my own journey and map and everything, and I get a chance to work with some amazing clients I would never have had I not had that event not happened.
Yeah. I think the key takeaway in this part of the conversation is that you can love what you're doing and not love where you're doing it, and
Absolutely.
just kind of need to redirect yourself, not just say, "Oh, well, this whole thing needs to be
Yep.
blown up."
Absolutely. Absolutely. A fantastic mentor of mine said once, you weren't rejected, you were just redirected. And I
Mhm.
really strongly believe that, it felt like God's like, okay, come on, let's look, you've been doing this. Wait, look, get off the flippin' hamster wheel. I'm going to help. Like, go. Let's just go.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Did you ever have any doubts about taking that direction?
Up until that point, I had, and so it was that, oh, yeah, it was always the, well, what about, and could I, and all of this, and that side hustle, and okay, I'll do this, but this is security, and all of that great stuff. But that moment, it was just a light bulb that went off, and I'm like, you know what? No, I am going to double down. This will be successful. I was given these gifts for a reason. I have a purpose, I have a passion, and let's just go. And if in a year I've got to go back to corporate America, fine. I gave it a good run.
Did you have a lot of support around you to make that change, or were people kind of like, a lot of times people are in your immediate circle are scared for you and they're like, "What are you doing? I don't know if that's safe."
Yeah, well, I had both. I had both. So my mom's first reaction was, "Honey, I always told you that you're never going to be happy till you work for yourself. So it's about time." My dad still to this day is like, "I told you so. You can do this." But I also did have some of those negative outside folks when I started, because I wanted to pick their brains and get their perspective. And one person's like, yeah, it's, if you can make it work, and if you can, I'm like, what do you mean if?
Mhm.
I'm coming to you for advice. Where the heck's the pep talk? But then I had other people that were pouring into me. So it's the one of the vendors that worked with that company. They actually reached out and said, "Holy cow, I had no, like, what happened? We want to give you 3 months of career coaching for free because
Wow.
I know, right? So I must not have sucked that much to be
Right. I highly doubt you sucked at all.
it's not even that bad. But things like that, yeah, so the right resources were put in my path and got my cheerleaders and just kept moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, that's and what kind of, like, what kind of resources did you go out and seek? Like, were there books or, podcasts you listened to or, like, what were you because we always talk about entrepreneurship being the greatest personal development journey you could go on, and
Right.
how, a lot of people when they're still in corporate have no idea
Yeah.
of what what resources exist for
Yeah.
personal and professional development. So what did you come across that helped
Well,
you?
there's the practical brass tacks that, score the company that you can get the free mentors and get
Mhm.
the free advice and all of that, which is great because it at least helps you to know what you don't know. But then I also sought out mentors in the space of others who have done it. Because you have to get out of the mindset of being an employee to truly being a business owner, entrepreneur. You're going out looking for the woolly mammoth yourself. Nobody else is going to bring it to you, right?
That's right. What a
And
great
so,
image.
how do you go hunt that thing
A
and
woolly
kill it?
mammoth.
Exactly. And it feels like a woolly mammoth at times, but my career coach, Colin, fantastic mentor to me and now great friend of mine. And he's actually doing work for us right now too. So it's so great, just beautiful to see the evolution. Um, Also, there's one great book that I'm rereading right now, E-Myth.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic book, which is the, oh my word, you've gotta get out of the business and work on the business and get stuff in place and so that you can scale and grow. um, I think the other thing that I had to lean into are some of my good friends that are fantastic coaches that kind of walk me through some mindset shifts,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't realize what you don't know. And then I joined. Each year, I have been part of a mastermind group. It's a full year program that's very intensive, and purposely did that because I can't just read it and do it. I need guidance of how to apply it. What situation where the heck I should be using this, how to take it to the next level. So for me, I'm a hands-on kind of gal.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I am too, and I've learned that about myself that I love reading, I love listening to podcasts, videos, whatever, and
Yeah,
I am kinesthetic in my
yeah,
learning
yep,
style, so
yep,
doing and being around other people. And I've often been asked myself, what is the most important piece of advice you would give
mm,
a new entrepreneur?
yeah.
And before I say what mine is, I'm curious to know what yours is.
The My biggest piece of advice is what somebody gave me a couple years ago, which is, Kristy, it doesn't have to be your forever. It is just your for now.
Uh-huh.
Don't
Okay.
you don't have to have it all figured out. What do you need to focus on for now?
That's amazing and excellent advice, whether it's for a business or
Yeah.
for life, like any life choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right? Because it allows you to not think you have to have your 10-year plan when we know that everything changes like quarter by quarter.
Yeah. I mean, if it's even that long anymore,
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
it could be 10 minutes. I
That's right.
mean,
Yeah, that's very
uh,
true.
going back to your mention of being in a mastermind, I've always told people that the most important thing is to get yourself around people
Yeah,
who are supportive of you,
yeah,
whether you are celebrating a win
yeah,
or crying about something that didn't
yeah.
go the way you thought it would. And you need those people, and they're not necessarily your family, they
Right.
are probably other business
Yes.
people who've
You're
been through it.
absolutely, and making sure to surround yourself with the right folks at the right stage, because you all want to kind of be in the same boat at the same level, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what's been helpful for me of like we're learning together, we're growing together, and we're not feeling like we're pulling each other down or up. We're literally on the same page,
Mhm.
um, which has been so helpful for me along the way.
Yeah, I think it depends on the stage because I also like to be in rooms with people who are ahead of where I am.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
like playing the game with people who are better
Yeah.
than you so that
Yeah.
you can get better.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and that's one thing I've been learning, and as I continue to evolve and it's evolved because I'll never
Yeah.
get there. But in some ways where I'm ahead, they're not as far. Where they're ahead, I'm not as far. So that's the community I really thrive in. Like, and we're coming to it with the intention of I need some help. You're stronger here. I need some help. You're stronger here. And we're, what the tides lift all boats kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm. Yeah. Very, very true. Um, what other lessons have you learned in your journey?
Hmm. Um,
Whether it's business or
yeah,
in life in general.
yeah. It's you've got to really sit with and understand who you are first and what do you believe, what do you value, what is your purpose and what is your passion, what is your superpower and what the heck do you bring to the table? Because if you don't have that, everybody's going to knock you one way or the other, and you're never going to be able to discern, I should add that to our product line or portfolio, or yeah, no, that's not quite us, and I can refer you or bring someone else in for that. And I think that was kind of like something I learned way back and still continue to evolve on it. Let's just say that. But you're like, I can do everything for everyone. No, I can't. No, I can't.
Right. Yeah.
Or no, or I'm not that good at that. So let's not do that.
Right. And that is relevant advice whether you're building a business or simply living your life. Knowing
Yeah.
who you are and what
Hmm.
you stand for.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of people don't take the time to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because why? Because it's not necessarily
Well,
easy.
and so that's where I make sense out of chaos is that that's actually one of the things I help leaders wrestle with all the time and really quickly help them dissect because it feels hard. Like,
Mm.
who are you? It's like this, philosophical debate with it doesn't have to be that
Wait, do
complicated.
you remember that not what was the movie? Breakfast Club?
Yes.
With the pen, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Who am I? Who am I?" When you just said that, it just brought that memory totally back. And it was Anthony Michael Hall, right? With the pen
Yep.
on his lip. Like, "Who am
Yeah.
I?"
Yeah. It's just that it doesn't have to be that complicated. So like basically, so when I work with folks or even friends, family, all of the above, we just start talking and I'm like, oh, cool. What do people know you for? Well, what the heck do you want to be known for? What are you really good at? What do you hate doing? And then just by doing that, we dissect. I'm like, oh wow, you're able to blah 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 blah. They're like, oh yes, that's who I am. Well, there you go. That's your superpower. Rock it, own it,
Mm,
name it, proclaim it, and it eventually becomes part of when you say it more and say it more, it literally becomes part of how you show up and what you do.
yes, yes, and at the same time, it's not always. It's almost impossible to see it yourself.
No, exactly. I didn't come up with my superpower on my own. Actually, when I was part of a layoff years ago, my resume writer actually found that.
Mm,
She's like,
yeah.
"Wow, you really make sense out of chaos." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" I'm like, "That is so true. It's so true."
Yes. And so that's another like key takeaway here is that
Yeah.
that uh be open to
Yeah.
asking others to help you find your superpower or find
Absolutely.
the thing. Like I think about when I had my first business, which was gratitude cookies, the term gratitude cookie, I didn't come up with that. Somebody else
Ah,
came up with that. The
yeah.
name of this show, Fine is a 4-letter word. I did not come up with that myself. I was open to receiving
Yep.
from others and benefiting.
Well, it's funny that you say that because Next Conversation Consulting, my mom actually helped me come up with the name back in 2017.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about being open to like I said, open to receiving,
Absolutely.
and it's amazing what shows up when you do
Yeah.
that. I want to go back to we're kind of circling around here, but you had the way that I started a conversation with you is because you had posted something on LinkedIn
Mhm.
about your experience of being asked to do something illegal and saying no and being let go for it. That you wrote about in a book. You wrote a chapter in a book, and
I
I
think,
freaking love the name of your chapter, so I didn't want to forget. In fact, we may name this episode that. I don't know. We'll see. But what was that? And share that.
yeah, absolutely. So I am a chapter in a book called The Second Wind, where it's all these stories of women's resilience and their journey. And my chapter is It's Hell in the Hallway.
It's just such a good name. Did you come up with that one?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
And
because it's when one door closes and another hasn't opened, they forget to tell you it's hell in there. It
yeah,
really is hell in that hallway.
yeah, you don't know how long you're going to be stuck there. You
Yeah,
don't
it's
know what's
dark. It's
happening.
nothing. Yeah, nothing's opening. You see the light ahead, and you can't open the dang door. What the heck? Yeah.
Right. There could be 20 doors, but you can't
Yeah.
see them,
Nope.
and you don't
And
know
you're
which
by
way to turn
yourself.
to find them.
Exactly.
Wow. We can put a link to that book in the
Absolutely.
show notes
Absolutely.
if people want to read that. Cool. And how did you come to that opportunity to write a chapter?
I just happened to be in the right network of folks that they were talking about this amazing anthology that they're doing. They also videotaped me and all of us about our stories that and just had an opportunity to learn more, see if it would fit into the book, and got accepted to write a chapter.
Was that your first writing experience or publishing experience?
No, it's no, back in the day, I keep reflecting, I have poetry that was published when I was a kid. I write for Forbes regularly. I've written for like Fairy Godboss and other blogs, but I think maybe in my adult years, my first book.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Is there a full book in you?
There is a full book in me. It's actually going to be an expansion of The Hell in the Hallway, but also expanding a little bit more about my own personal and professional journey,
Hmm.
and giving some great leadership advice on how to lean in, especially when you're different, or different than what is expected. Let's just
Uh-huh.
say that, you know.
Okay. All right. Uh, anything any particular point you want to share right now on how to lean in when you're different? Or should we wait for the book?
Oh, I can totally share it because it's the know who you for me it's the when you know who you are and you know that difference is not a bad thing. It's just different. So, and when I came to recognize that I'm neurodiverse but that is absolutely my blessing that I bring to the world because I can make sense out of chaos super
Mhm.
fast for someone. And so what others have minimized is actually an amazing blessing that I give to my clients. And
Yeah.
so it's the don't let others dictate to you what's a blessing and a curse. You get to choose what is serving you and what's not serving you.
Mhm. I just saw a post yesterday. Somebody was talking, I think it was Jody Cook, was talking about something that she was teased about her whole life, which was about having big arms and being strong. And
Mm-hmm.
so she always tried to minimize that because
Yeah.
it was something that she didn't want to be different about. But once she realized, hey, wait, this is one of my superpowers, and
Yep.
stepped into it.
Yeah.
And so she said to look at things that you may have been teased about or feel uncomfortable about, and look at them from a different perspective and see how that is maybe
Yeah.
your superpower.
Exactly. Exactly. And try to put it in a better frame for, yourself and then also give that grace to others as well.
Yes. Yes. Kindness.
Yes. Let's talk humans to humans and be kind.
Absolutely. All right. So before we go,
Okay.
what is the song that you listen to and you need an extra boost of energy? I mean, you've got a lot going on, so it feels like you probably need energy or you generate energy.
Oh, that was which one did I send you? It's the new Stephen Curtis Chapman song. What is the title?
I don't know. I had to look it up. Hang
Let
on.
me
I
look
can look
it
it
let's
up.
look yeah, I know. Let me look it up.
I should have had this pulled up. But
It's
I
it is Do It Again.
do it again. Okay.
Yes.
I'm actually not familiar with this song, so I'm gonna have to go listen to it because
It is such an upbeat, it's such a hype song. It's the, every morning wake up and God says, let's do it again, right? It's just such a great song. Yeah.
awesome. All right, I'm gonna put a link to that in the show notes for
Okay.
listeners. And if someone wants to continue a conversation with you, where is the best place for them to find you? Is it LinkedIn where I found you?
Absolutely. LinkedIn is a great place to get a hold of me, or you can check out nextconversationconsulting.com, but DM me and I'll totally respond to you on LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome. I'll put a link to both of those places
Yeah.
as well in the show notes. Kristy, thank you so much for joining me today on Fine is a Four-Letter Word.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.